welcome back to the Buck Junkie Podcast. We are back out here at the farm. Me and Mark got a little hunting in this morning. We got somebody won a contest this week, Mikey.
Yep, we sure did.
We got what else we got to talk about, Jamie? The Hope Outdoors Banquet.
Yeah, Hope Outdoors Banquet coming up. Not this coming weekend, but the weekend of the May 6th.
Got a few things to talk about today. What y'all know? What y'all get into this weekend, gentlemen?
Nothing but cook.
Yeah, a little barbecue contest for us. That's
me and Mark went to Delta and done a barbecue. Heck, I guess we done all three.
Yeah, hog, shoulder, and ribs.
Won another first place rib out on the barbecue trail.
Another first place rib. But we had a good weekend though. We got a little rain, a little wet, but it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, I wish the weather had figured out. It was like walked out of the house the other day, shorts on, and Friday morning walked out and I went right back in, put pants on, and then
it was pretty cold this
morning. It was 40 something this morning.
I didn't get to hunt. I didn't get to hunt Saturday or Sunday. We went to a concert Saturday, but I did go Friday.
I was going to say, you learned a lot Friday, didn't you?
Yeah, I learned that I am not a good judge of distance when it comes to turkeys. How far, when are they in range? Because I know the whole thing is you're supposed to get them close to you, right?
That's right.
Well, I ain't learned that. I ain't got that patience in me yet.
So walk us through the hunt. What did you do? Friday, I knew y'all were cooking. Mikey, I think you had something going on at work. You couldn't get away. So I was going to go by myself, and the first time ever trying to call a bird. So I come down here Thursday night, spent the night, got up Friday morning. I was out there. It was probably 5:35, 5:40, still good and dark. Birds hadn't woke up yet. I was sitting down here on the hill just trying to see if I could hear something. So everything started waking up. Owls was hooting. Crows started hollering. Birds was chirping. No turkeys. I didn't hear nothing. So I got out my old slate call, went to trying to locate and blow the owl hooter, and no birds. So I did kind of like you taught me. I just kind of eased around, moved around spot to spot, tried to get one to strike up. Never heard one. I did that for about, a good solid hour or so here. And then I said, well, I'm going to ride over to the other property. It's just not too far away. Do the same thing. I rode all over that property, kind of moved around where we'd seen and heard birds before, no birds. And I come back home, and it was probably almost 9:00. I'd been out there for 3 hours, ain't heard a bird, ain't seen a bird. I said, well, I'm going to go give it a shot again over here just to cover my tracks. And same thing, no birds. Well, we had old blind set up that we thought was a pretty good spot. And Mark, you've been kind of chasing one in the area over there. We got the old, I don't know, we need to name him.
Yeah, he's an old smart bird. Well, I got set up. I said, I'm going to go sit in that blind and just cold call. Hadn't got anything to respond to. I don't think I've ever got anything to respond to me when I've been hunting. But I put out a couple decoys. I got to sit in that blind. I wasn't there 15, 20 minutes, and I got my slate out. And I started striking, trying to do a little yelping. Nothing. And I was like, well, I'll wait a few minutes and have my mouth calls with me. And I said, well, first time, it's now or never, boys. Might as well make some racket.
It's the first time you've ever called.
First time I've ever called with a mouth call.
You've been practicing.
I've been practicing a little. I've been taking advice to heed, putting in my mouth as much as possible when I'm driving.
So outside living room or the cab of your truck, this is like.
Yeah, it's the first time in the wild where there's actually a turkey around, I think. And so I hope. Well, I hit that thing, and I want y'all to know, as soon as I started, yep, yelping on it, it'll do, and I was like, whoa, hold up. He ain't supposed to do that. I mean, he was close. I was like, man, was that a fluke? Did I hear something? So I sat there a few minutes. I got my phone out. I was going to record if I ever saw him. And
you recorded?
Yeah, I did. I recorded. Well, I hit it again, and he striked it again. He was right there on me this time. So I just said, okay, I'm shutting up because I don't know what to do to seal this deal. I'm just going to sit in this blind. I got my decoys out there. If they come out, they come out. Because you told me that turkey, if he'll respond to you, he's eventually going to come.
Yep.
So I was taking that to heed. So I was sitting there, and then all of a sudden I saw something bobbing down at the end of the field. So I thought
was it when you
I thought the end of the field was about 100 yards. So I knew if I got him in the field, he was going to be in range. That's what I was thinking. I said, that's got to be
yards.
Yeah, at 100. Well, not to shoot him at that far at the edge. I was going to let him come, down the field some. And so a hen came out, and I got my phone out, and I was like, oh, it's on now, boys. Here's a turkey. I didn't know what it was. And then it started coming closer. I said, that's a hen. And then about that time I could see right behind it. There he was, boy. He had his old blowed up, tailed out. I was like, oh man, Mikey. I got so excited. I was shaking. You could tell in my phone.
And you could tell he's drumming because his fan's sticking straight out.
Yeah.
He don't let it down. He's straight out and his wings go down and he'll shuffle his feet quick and he'll whoop and he'll just blow up. And
that's what he
let down and he'll blow up and he'll let down.
Well, that's what he was doing down at the end of the field. And man, 100 yards. In the field now, I was like, you can see in the video, my hands just shaking. I said, all right, boy, I got my first bird. It's just going to be a matter of time. I can't film it and shoot it, so I'm going to put this down. So I put my old phone in my pocket, and I got my gun out and put it up on him. I was like, whoa, that's a pretty long ways right there. It didn't even look like there was a bird down there on the end of my gun. I could still see him blowed up.
With the bear?
Yeah, I covered him up. So I was like, I'm going to let him get a little closer. So that hen came, and she was coming on down. They saw the decoys. There's no doubt they saw the decoys. I had them kind of to my right, out over kind of on the edge a little bit, but they were facing the opposite direction of the turkeys. Like I had the butts of the turkey, the hen, and then a Jake tucked in right behind her, but butts to the way they were coming. I was like, I'm in pretty good shape there, I thought. Well, that jerker kept coming down. He walked 4 or 5 yards and blow up. And he was gobbling at me. And the whole time I'm sitting there, ain't got no prop for my gun. I got it out a blind window, and I'm just all over the place with it, shaking. And so it gets down, and I'm like, okay, that's about halfway. He's probably about 45, 50 yards is what I thought. So he gets down there, and he finally lets go. You know, he's not strutting anymore. He's walking. He kind of stops, and he's watching that hen. And I was like, it's now or never, boys. So I put it on the best I could and let one squeeze off. And I guess it hit the ground in front of him because he just jumped back 2 or 3 yards and looked. And so I didn't shoot again. The hen ran off fast. She was gone. And then so I was like, what am I going to do? So I got my call back out. I fiddled around, tried to put it in my mouth, and made some god-awful racket, and that dude just turned around and ran straight out the field. But so I got out of so I sat there a minute, and I was like, man, I screwed this up. What did I learn here? I was like, how far was that? And I didn't have a rangefinder, nothing with me. So I got out of my blind, and I started walking that away. I was like, man, it's closer back to the ride than it was where I shot the turkey. So I went and got into James Polaris and drove down there. It was a good ways, boys. It was probably it might have been 150 yards to where the bird was. I need to go back and really let y'all look and let me get in the blind.
We're going to go look.
Because
here in just a minute.
How far do you think that field was?
From the blind to the end?
Yeah.
Oh, it's well over 150, 175 yards.
Oh, I bet it's close to 200 to the end of that field.
The whole field's probably 250 from gate to the end.
Well, here's the lesson I learned. It takes patience.
A 12 gauge will not kill a bird at 130. Yeah. So we've discussed pattern of gun and every kind of shit. So we need to do long distance shooting,
see how far
you can go.
Know your limits.
Well, I saw Trent's video. He's killed him at 65. And I said, shoot, I can do that. Surely, can't I?
Man, them old TSS's look like that Looney Tune bullet. He went
just dove off in front of him.
Fell in front of him. He pecked at him.
Yeah. Well, I called my first bird and got him to respond, so it was a win for me. But I didn't seal the deal. I didn't let him come close enough.
The good thing about this, I know that sucks.
It sucks bad.
Sucks you didn't get him, but he was far enough away. He probably really didn't even hear the gunshots. You didn't spook him.
I don't think he knew what it was because he didn't run off till I started.
No, he's probably like, darn, the neighbor done shot another bird. He didn't realize it was in the field with him.
But.
So you learned something.
I learned something.
What did you learn?
I learned to be patient. If they're coming, to let them come. Let them do, I had plenty of time. I don't know why. The only thing
was
exactly fever. I got the fever. I got it, and I wanted to shoot that bird bad, and it was, I don't know what it is, man. When I see one,
you've been on TikTok too much listening to 9 Acre Ranch, dude. You're wanting what was he call it? The turkey special? Pew, pew.
3,000
Well, if y'all haven't learned by now, usually when Malcom hunts by himself, it's the most entertaining hunt you possibly can be on.
If I'd have had one of y'all with me to calm me down.
You're like a kid when you get by yourself. You get too fired up.
I get too fired up. I do.
But hey, you didn't spook him because we got right back on him this morning. No doubt that was the same bird this morning.
Well, this was Friday. Now today is Tuesday, and
He's still telling all his buddies.
Go ahead.
He did. He told him, as long as y'all don't go past here,
y'all are good.
They can't shoot. They can't shoot. So
don't
go
down
ahead.
there till you see
what happened this morning. So me and you went.
Yeah, I got here about 5:30. You was here when I pulled up. We kind of got everything situated and run back there about halfway where we usually stop on a hilltop and listen. And I hooted once or twice. And, man, we had them owls cutting up this morning. They were pissed off. I mean, we probably had, I don't know,
3 or 4, easy.
And they were just going back. And I hooted once or twice, and I just shut up because, I mean, they were doing all the talking. And he struck out and gobbled in same spot where he was. I mean, right down the tree line. We knew exactly where to go. And definitely could tell he was on the roost because it was still pretty dark.
Yeah, it was 5:45.
So me and you slipped down that tree line, got up on the hill because we didn't want to be in the bottom. And at that time, I knew we were pushing the limits of how much closer we really technically could get at the moment. I would say we were probably closer to that bird when he was on roost than when you shot at him, probably.
Probably so.
But I would say we were probably 130, 150 yards from him.
He was kind of on the edge of the dove field and that lower clover field. That's where he was, somewhere on that tree line.
We had him pinned. We knew a pretty darn good idea where he was at. So we set up, we put the decoy out in dove field, and we kind of sit there and let the sun come on up. And me and you was close enough we could whisper back and forth, and we were waiting to kind of let the sun get up and let him wake up. And he was steadily gobbling, wasn't checking up. And
at this point, he done gobbled 8, 10 times.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was like we knew he was right there. So, of course, now instead of just having one guy that don't know what he's doing, it's 2 of us. Neither one of us know what we're doing.
Rookies.
So I told Malcom, I said, I'm going to try to do the whole fly down cackle thing. We're gonna cluck up a little bit. And
I forgot we did that.
We're going to do a little soft purring. And
you get your hat and whoop it on your
I did.
Mark did.
Heck yeah.
It sounded like one coming off the roost.
It sounded like he fell off the roost.
Yeah, that's what you whispered to me. That's one thing he fell down.
Limb broke.
Yeah. We may not kill a bird, but by God, we have a good time.
Yeah.
So anyways, and what was funny is I think I got Malcom so fired up, hell, he started flapping his wings. We had 2 birds come off of it.
A whole flock of hens just flew
I took my hat off. Mark was doing his. I had mine just all down the tree like that.
But what'd he do? He gobbled.
As soon as we did that, he gobbled.
So we kind of hushed up then. You know, he knew we was there. He heard us. He responded. And we could tell where he was at. When he flew off roost, he flew toward us, but on the other side of the ditch.
Yeah.
Because he got closer. And he gobbled, and he got to where he was going away from us. And there was another bird gobbling on the other end of the property. I know he heard him. So we made a decision we're going to move. We're going to push it. We're going to see what we can do. So we dropped down the bottom and circled around the bottom of the dove field and come back up where we burned the pines and sit there for just a minute. And he gobbled again. I was like, all right, we know where he's at. We got room now. Let's go.
We're really in between the birds at that point.
We were. We got between them.
Yeah.
And that was kind of, once we heard that other bird, I knew if he was going to him, let's try our best to get between them. And so we snuck down and we got down at the gate and kind of where you hunted the other day, pretty similar, same bird, no doubt. And we got the decoys put out and we set up in them pines. And I mean, it was perfect location.
If it would come that way.
Yeah, we tucked in the pines and, you know, we had a little bit of cover around us and we just kind of sat there and let him do his thing. Because, again, we don't know what we're doing and I don't want to push him. And, you know, I'm trying to pay attention and learn as we're doing this. Well, we started kind of calling to him and he got pretty close when we first sat down. I would say he was within 100 yards. But between us and him we didn't know at the time, we do now, but it was 2 big ditches and a pretty good thicket along those ditches. So he would come all the way to the end of that point, gobble, and he'd walk back down the field. And he'd come all the way back. And we had him close enough at one point that you could hear him drumming. I mean, he was right there. And I mean, you talk about hearing it thump in his chest. I heard it. I mean, it was there. But we
never saw him.
Never saw him. Never laid eyes on him. And he was as close as you could get without laying eyes on him, I believe. And we done that for
hour
at least. And
we both got the call and him answering.
Well, I'm glad that happened. Because, you know, it's been a couple mornings where they just didn't want to act right or, you know, again, we're still learning. and to actually get one to know he responds, like he will cut you off to respond. That's what I was like, all right, we're doing something halfway right. But it got to the point to where we can't get any closer to him. There's no possible way without trespassing. We're not getting any closer. He ain't coming. So I told Malcolm, I was like, screw it. Let's cut up. Let's just see what we get away with. And Malcolm hit the old mouth call gobble on him. And
it actually sounds pretty darn good.
It didn't sound bad. I recorded it.
I've been working on it.
And the old gobble just hit. I mean, we had him on the string. Back. We just couldn't pull that string. I mean,
we needed somebody that knew how to coax him on across a ditch. I don't know if he could, if it was possible. He just didn't want to come across it.
If he would have been on the, would that be the west side of that little ditch, he would have come across that road right there.
Yeah.
I think.
That was what we were trying to get him to do, the way we were set up. We had it set up to come through the old cow gap, and he was just.
But I didn't realize it was that other ditch running north and south. And that's what he was doing. He was running all the way out to that point and just hanging up. And, you know, and I'm sure there's some professionals out there that say they could have caught him across it. Well, I wish you'd have been here with us because I'd have pulled the trigger on him if you could have.
That's what we were missing.
It depends. It really depends on the bird. You know, you might could have got him to cross that ditch, and then you might not have.
Yeah. Well, I never heard a hen. He had a hen with him the other day when I saw him, if it's the same bird. She wasn't talking the other day either, though. He was gobbling, and she wasn't making a cluck, a cut, or nothing. I mean, she wasn't purring.
She wasn't saying nothing, yeah.
Or at least she wasn't close enough for me to hear say anything.
Yeah. How close did she get?
Well,
if you'd asked me, I would have said 30 yards. But if 70, now thinking of it, it might have been 130. Yeah.
She was 65, 70.
Or 65 or 70. Yeah.
So that hen's coming. Fix and walk up and check your decoys, probably.
So what do you do at that point?
Let her go.
Let her go.
Don't say a word. If she's coming, just let her come. She'll drag him. You'll come with her.
That's where I messed up. That's exactly where I messed up. We know we got a few more days left. It's exactly a week from today, right?
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll get a chance to get you that bird. I had my camera out. I was ready to record it.
Oh, we had good footage this morning. We done named Malcolm's call. It's the strangled hen is what it is.
Strangled hen.
And he likes it, man.
I still got a lot of work to do on that.
I will say your gobble is as good as most I've heard. Your gobble's better than your yelp. I mean,
it's better than my yelp. I ain't saying much.
That's a good gobble. I mean,
yeah. Could you imagine if all these animals go back like, hey, man, listen, it's this guy sitting over there. He's a pretty good guy. Just fool with him at 70 yards. You're good and clear. Don't worry about nothing. You can just strut.
Just make him feel better.
Yeah.
Maybe fall over and flop a minute when he shoots, and then you get up, fly off.
That's what I've been picturing. Is like that one of those cartoons, Over the Hedge or something, where all the animals get together. And
yeah, they got a plane.
Yeah, they talk.
Y'all seen no Milwaukee
y'all
guy
across the field real quick on him.
Y'all know the Milwaukee guy. He does all the different.
That's the one where he's brim fishing.
Yes, and the fish are talking about the fishermen. That's the way I imagine.
Bass like, don't you bite that worm?
Man, it looks so real. Don't bite it. Don't.
He get up there and nibble on it.
Yeah.
It tastes good. It tastes good.
So, what's that guy's name? Marshall on TikTok?
I think so.
Man, I'm telling you, that dude, he done one the other day.
He tickled me.
He was doing of course, Milwaukee's like the top notch. And then you got old Brian from Harbor Freight, and he's kind of like rides a slow bus. And
he's always colored.
Oh, gosh, that sounds so funny.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they were fishing the other day, Milwaukee and DeWalt, and all of them were fishing, and Bauer, he's over throwing up in the tree. And all. It's so daggone funny.
But we have had a heck of a turkey season.
I tell you what, this is my first full turkey season where I've actually turkey hunted a pretty good bit, and it has been every bit as fun as deer hunting, or if not more. There's something, but it's like playing hide and seek or Marco Polo or something when you're a kid. You know, you calling out and they calling back. You trying to. That's what I was sitting there thinking this morning. I said, we're playing Marco Polo with this daggum turkey.
Yeah,
he is. We're trying to find him. He's trying to find us. We're both talking to each other, and we just can't seal the deal.
I wonder if he is the bird that I called up with the other bird that you killed.
I think it was. And you remember last year?
He's been shot at twice.
I think that was that same bird that me and you tried to get last year when we were just messing around, and we struck one up in that same spot. He just lives there. And
so
I think he's an older, smarter bird.
He is.
I didn't say this morning, but did you hear that one gobble that sounded like a Jake?
Yeah.
There was one, like he was gobbling big and it got quiet and there was one little gobble. And I think he might have responded to your gobble. He's like, oh, there's another Jake over there. But
mine's definitely more of a Jake gobble than it is a full blown grown turkey.
So you got the Jake gobble, you got the Marlboro woman truck stop.
Choked out to yelp like somebody strangling her.
We didn't come up with all kinds of new turkey verbiage.
It's I don't know. It's pretty daggone funny listening to all of it. That's you get more humor out of that than you do the actual.
Oh, both Brooks and Michael Waddell can't come down here and call these turkeys we got. They ain't gonna respond to none of them pretty calls they do.
They don't want none of the real ones, that's for sure.
All these Marlboro hens and stuff. We didn't call that.
You got to have rough. They used to these rough sounds, and you got to run the Ranger around a little bit too. They like to hear some motors. We did have the neighbor come out messing with his cows.
Yeah. He did shut up when he was out there, too.
Yeah, you could tell that turkey shut down. We could hear him, and he got the cows going. I guess he was feeding them or something this morning.
But when the truck pulled out of the gate, what'd he do?
He fired right back up.
Right back. So, I mean, that bird wasn't far, and
he's up there in that farmer's pen, probably.
He might be.
That wasn't no pen bird. No, he wasn't no pen bird.
But I'll say, I mean, y'all know this if y'all listen, that this is my first year really ever turkey hunting as an adult. I mean, I used to go as a kid with Daddy, but kind of just winging it. And I hadn't been skunked yet. I mean, I ain't pulled the trigger on one, but we've had good shows every single time we went. And I know there's a lot of people's been hunting many a years that don't get that opportunity, and I'm grateful for it. But I was just hoping, man, one of these hens would at least drag us one up there for catching all these coons a couple of weeks ago. They could at least say thank you. You know, just lure one of them gobblers on closer.
Just bring him in just a little bit.
Yeah.
We did run across the buck deer this morning. That we saw one in velvet horns. They popped up about 4 or 5 inches already.
Looked like 2 Coke cans on his head.
Sitting on there. That was good to see. Good. I mean, they're healthy. They're growing. So
the clover, I know we talk about it every week, but daggum, that clover is coming in strong.
So let's talk about clover plots. Like, you got your perennial clover plot now.
Yeah.
If you planted them, if they just planted last spring, they ought to be popped now, and you ought to have clover. Or if you've got some that's been going on for years, what do we got to do to it now at this point? Because it's time to start thinking about what you're going to do to those plants.
So if you hadn't already, I mean, now with all the grasses and the broadleafs coming in, you need to go in and you need to spray get some of the competitive weeds out of it if you eat up with weeds. Excuse me. But if it's not a lot of weeds in there, you don't have to spray the entire field. You can just get a backpack sprayer or bottle spray and just hit a few spots.
Just spot spray it.
Yeah, you can just spot spray it. You don't have to waste all that chemical. You just be wasting money if you sprayed a 2-acre field and you only got 4 or 5 clumps of grass out there.
What's not going to kill the clover or knock it back?
So if you got grass in it, you're going to spray it with clethodim. And you can just read the back of the bottle. I'm not going to tell you what we spray because I might go a little heavier than what what is recommended. But you can just read the back of the bottle. It'll tell you how much to put in there for what grass. On the back of those directions, it tells you what kind of grasses it attacks. And how many ounces or gallons or whatever you need to spray over an acre to kill those. And your broadleafs, you're going to use a 2,4-DB. Not 2,4-D, it will kill 2,4-DB.
Won't kill the clover.
And the B is broadleaf, correct?
No, it's I believe it's Butarac.
Butarac, yeah.
Broadleaf sounds good. It won't kill broadleaf.
Yeah.
So you spray that down for your broadleaf stuff in your clover. Once you do that, go ahead and spray it. You can mix those two together in your sprayer. I've mixed them in ours. I put the 2,4-DB and the clethodim in the sprayer at one time.
You got to calculate your rates, I guess.
You got to calculate your rates. You got to check your sprayer. You want to don't want to spray too little because it may not kill everything. And if you spray too much of something, you got it real, real heavy, you can kill what you're trying to save. So you got to be careful. You make sure your ratio is correct. Check your sprayer, calculate it. If you don't know how to calculate a sprayer, I think the University of Ohio on the internet has a real easy way to calculate your sprayer. It goes by like the distance of the nozzles on the sprayer. I think you measure out whatever it tells you on that chart. Like if your nozzles are 20 inches apart, you're going to time how long it takes you to drive 204 feet. So measure out 204 feet, log those seconds that it takes you to drive there, do it a couple of times, and then take an average and then go over and catch the fluid out of those nozzles.
Just water.
Just water.
Yeah.
Out of those nozzles for each one of those. So however many ounces, the average amount of ounces across that sprayer nozzles. I usually just catch it out of 2 or 3 of them.
And then
I don't do all 15 of them. I usually just catch, the end ones and maybe a middle one, and then see what it is. So if it's 16 ounces, it's spraying 16 gallons per acre. So then you do your math from there.
And how much chemical you need in that gallon. Right. So it may be 20 ounces of 2,4-DB and 16 ounces of clethodim to your tank, or depending on what size tank you got.
So you just once you mix it up, I always put crop oil in with clethodim.
Is that like the surfactant or something to make it stick to whatever?
You can see it when you spray it. I usually, sometimes I'll go a little heavy with that crop oil because it gets on, especially if it's fixing to rain, because it'll hold on the plant and it'll kind of dry on there. It'll look like Armor All sometimes on the plants, So it'll give it it'll give it a good burn down. It'll stay on the plant, it'll stick to the plant.
Now, are you fertilizing these existing clover plots or new plots?
Yes. So now, once you sprayed, kind of got your weeds under control, you can go right back in behind that and throw the fertilizer down on it. So you want to throw a low nitrogen fertilizer, a 0-24-24, or I don't even know, just whatever, a 10-20-20 or whatever, something like that you don't want to throw like a high nitrogen, because
Clover
produces its own nitrogen. It don't really need it. It's not going to hurt it if you put some on. I would put straight 3300 on it, just straight nitrogen. But
you're just wasting your money by putting nitrogen. Yeah.
But you can put nitrogen on it. It's not going to hurt it. It might even help it a little bit, but you don't want a bunch of it. You really want the potash and the phosphates that are in there more than you do that.
What rate are you throwing fertilizer? 50 pounds an acre?
200 pounds an acre.
200 pounds an acre. So you're going to have some lush clover plots once you do that. Then when are you going to do the first mow on them? We hadn't already.
Once you really want it to get up and get kind of thick and lush, you want to see that. And then when it starts, about the time it starts blooming, you'll see, if you got red clover, you'll see the little red tips come up on it, or the white, it'll have little white tips on it.
It should be around May around here.
About now you would want to do all this, right around the end of turkey season. Unless you just got like a clover plot that's done been eradicated by grass or something like that, you need to go ahead and spray it early. We actually sprayed not long ago because we had wheat mixed in with our clover as a nurse crop. Yeah. So I had to knock it down. So I went in and sprayed and fertilized one time early just to get the wheat knocked off of it, where it wasn't competing with my clover no more. The clover had already come out, and it was still young looking and didn't look, it was kind of stringy and small and didn't look real good, but now that we fertilize it, it's starting to get thick and lush, and
it's like carpet.
We're getting them 70-degree days and stuff like that. Yep. It's starting to thrive. So, but that's now would be the time to start doing all that. To really can do all of it kind of almost back to back. Spray it, fertilize it, give it about a week, go in and mow it, and then
you're done until Memorial Day or
for a little while.
That's what I've always kind of heard is like if you can mow it when you get going in the spring, and then Memorial Day, you probably need to do another mow. Yep. And then 4th of July, and then your clover, you should have clover all the way to,
once I hit season. July, I really like to watch the clover plots. You can go by a schedule if you want to. You really need to pay attention to what your fields are doing. Our fields may be doing something that yours are, somebody else's are not. So if your clover's not thriving, I wouldn't go in and go to, heavy spraying and mowing the tops off of it. I would want it to go ahead and flourish. If I got some that's thick, it's just thick. I'm gonna let it go.
Yeah. And you don't really care. I mean, if it does get some weeds, it's a food plot. If it gets some weeds in it,
it's gonna have weeds in it.
It ain't the end of the world.
Yeah, you can't keep all the wind-blown grass that blows around all year long out of it all year long. I mean,
that's the biggest take. Like, it's not gonna look like your lawn. You're not trying to make it look like yard of the month.
No,
it just needs to look natural.
It's actually good anyways. I mean, because it's wild grasses that are blowing around out in the field anyway. So, I mean, the deer eat those, the turkey eat them. Everything eats that grass. You just don't want it to overtake your clover where it just, decimates that field, or you can't get it back under control.
Don't expect to go plant clover in spring and have a spring food plot of clover. That ain't gonna happen.
No, it takes a little while for clover to establish. Some of it comes up kind of quick. But, for a good established field of white clover, the red does come back. They say it's an annual, but you can mow it, and we've had it come back. couple of years. You know, the white will stay in for 5 to 7 years, but just maintain it, try to take care of it. You know, we got a lot coming up now that last year at the end of the year, it just, you know, that drought just killed everything. Well, it didn't kill it. It just didn't bloom. It didn't come out of the ground. It just stayed dormant. You know, and it burned up what was above the ground. And now this spring, you know, all those fields that I had planted, I thought were gone, and little road edges and stuff are just full of clover now.
No, I noticed a lot today just coming where me and Mark walked today, even coming across the dove field, there are spots that's just thick carpet clover in there underneath all that wheat that we've got. Yeah. And then going around on like the road, I don't know if it's spilled, if it runs, if it's just wild clover, but it's filled in a lot of those spots, and all of that's food for wildlife. That's all habitat. I mean, even if it's in a road, I mean, Jamie, when you used to caretake at the big hunting club, y'all would plant the roads a lot.
Yeah, we plant the road edges a lot. That's just because it was always cleaned back and didn't have shade on it. You know, it was sunlight a lot. And then, plus it, I guess riding in and out, like seeing what deer you got on the property too. But
So you don't have to just have acres of food plots. You can take advantage of your right-of-ways, basically.
Yeah, if you just got 6 or 8 foot long side of a road, that's heck, you take over there, you're 3 or 4 miles down the road, but you're not, you know, may not be but 12 foot wide, 10 foot wide, but you're doing miles of it. So it adds up.
I saw something interesting the other day. It was on one of the social medias, and it was talking about laying out food plots. And, you know, a lot of times we think, oh, we got this 4 or 5 acre plot. You know, we've tried to create an edge on the side of it and stuff, but this was more geared towards smaller plots, or if you do have a large plot, turning it into multiple smaller plots.
Yeah.
It gives those corners and those right of ways, and they would take it instead of just, you know, it's probably hard to do from a planting standpoint because you're going to be doing a lot of turning, a lot of backing up. But man, they had cut coves in this field, and it was like it was a cornfield.
Yeah.
But they had made it to where it had all these openings in it. And then it was like a lot of thick corn, a lot of eco edge type stuff. And they had their stand out in the middle of it, and they had one lane bush hog down.
I seen that picture.
Did you
look good?
It looked really, to be like that. They said that was like a 4 or 5 acre field, and it looked like it had all kinds of just spots where deer would come into that field, or a buck couldn't check the whole field. That was the one it was talking about.
Yeah.
Your deer can't check it. You can't just have an old smart buck come up, pop his head out, and get downwind and check the whole field. He's got to he's got to pop out multiple times, which increases your odds of seeing him when he's doing this, to check all those little pockets and all those little areas. And I thought that was pretty cool.
That, and then if you got a small property that's 68 acres, you got to get that out of your mind that if you don't have a big food plot, you're not going to have deer. You can do 4 or 5 little, get out there at the tiller even and do little small stuff.
Like this micro.
You still get food plots, you know, it don't have to be a 20 acre food plot or nothing.
Well, the way they planted that one, if you look, they planted it basically, they didn't have a plot. It was basically just like 2 passes of the planter. So like you were talking about, like it does, like when we done South Trump last year, that sucked because you're trying to plant these little square blocks, and I mean, you got a 70, 80 horse tractor. It don't maneuver that well in that smaller quarter.
Yeah.
And they just made like passes. So it was like, it kind of fingertipped away from the stand, but it was 2 or 3 passes wide. So you could make a pass, turn around, go back, make a pass. And you wasn't trying to turn and make little blocks. And it looked darn good.
So I thought it looked cool.
That's what, like, to me, the advantage at tiller we got versus this. At tiller, you can get them little small and back up and drop it and go forward and back up and drop it. And you're 2 or 3 passes, you got it good. But
that disc takes a lot more room space to turn around.
And bigger plots, that disc definitely a lot faster. But
I like the whole idea of like that plot in that picture of the standing corn, because you could go in and every couple of weeks just bush hog one
strip down. Yeah.
And
what I was going to ask, do you think on that one it was a solid stand of corn?
Yeah, definitely.
And then come fall, they trimmed out where they wanted to put their fall plot, and they come back and just did the grain mix?
I think so.
So you left all your, and that, I mean, that's not a bad idea. We could do something similar to that where we're going to put we're going to try some corn this year. We could try that next, like even put a stand down there.
I may be completely wrong, but I think we're going to do corn this year, and we're going to regret we hadn't been doing it years before.
Possibly, maybe.
I think let me rephrase that. We've done it years before. I'm saying if we do several acres and actually like get a well-established crop of it, I think it'll be beneficial. I think we'll see more benefit to that as an eco edge than what we actually do versus growing the wall.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like we had last year, we plant 2 years of that growing the wall in the same spot. We got a legit wall. Like it's
gonna be a jungle.
It's thick.
Yeah, it's a jungle, which is good for the birds and stuff. I mean, I saw more birds in it this year than we've ever had. Just wild birds, you know, of all species.
I mean, I think, you know, me and you were talking about it this morning. You know, this has been one of the best turkey seasons we've had on this property, and it all goes back to what we done 3 and 4 years ago. And gradually leading up to this, and the deer herd and everything else is going to follow suit. I mean, we've already done that with deer, but, you know, turkeys is something that.
This is really the first year they've stayed on this property during
the whole season.
Ordinarily, we've never heard
we've seen them in the fall, and the birds stay. Yeah. I think the big thing was like we didn't plan for turkey habitat. Remember, we went to that. Yeah. It was like one of the local soil and conservation things where they do for the county. And they had some biologists come out, and we first went, and we started talking to him. That's kind of how we started a relationship. We asked he asked us, "Are y'all wanting to deer hunt? Are you wanting to turkey hunt? Or are you wanting to manage timber?"
Yeah.
And so what was our take on it?
So the biologists, you know, you've got different ways to manage your property, and a lot of people want to manage it they don't want to quite do like what we're doing because we're managing for wildlife. That's not the most beneficial thing for your timber stands and stuff like that. So when they look at it, they look at it from several different angles, you know. So if you're wanting to manage for timber and stuff like that, they want you to go in, they want to select cut. They want you to pull out stuff. They want you to burn, but they want you to kind of. They don't really like you doing like hinge cutting or anything like that because they feel like it messes your woods up.
They want trash on the ground. They want it clean.
They want it slick clean. That's timber management. You know, those slick, clean woods with no undergrowth in them and stuff like that. That's kind of what they want because it makes it
no competition for the trees.
No competition for the trees.
They'll shoot straight.
Right. They'll stay up straight. You get more money for the timber on your property. And it keeps it clean enough to where, you know, when they come in to do anything, they don't have to cut down a bunch of junk to get to those select trees that they want to pull off your property. That's good from a standpoint if you're trying to make money off your property or something like that. In the case where you're managing for wildlife, you can manage for deer, you can manage for turkeys, you can manage for quail. You know, they say that managing for deer is a little different than managing for like quail, but they said if you manage for quail, the deer are going to be there because you're promoting more grass, wild grasses, briar thickets, things like that out there, you know, planting small little strip food plots and things like that for the birds to come out in and eat and then run right back in the thicket, not big, wide open fields and stuff like that. And those are all a little bit different, but you know, as long as you're managing for wildlife, I mean, as long as they told me managing quail was the hardest thing and the most expensive thing to do because you're trying to promote, burn, spray, keep that junk grass down, keep those wild grasses out there. Some of the food that you're planting is like we were talking about, you know, you're not planting like huge, big, wide open fields. Cause I mean, that's more for deer and turkey and stuff like that. Those little birds, you know, quail and stuff, they're not going to walk out in a 5-acre field dead in the middle, you know, and picking grass. They're going to be on the edges of those strips like rabbits or something, you know, they're just going to eat in those little small strips where they feel safe. And then they're going to duck back in the thicket. Those are the hardest ones, number one, because you spend a lot of money on chemicals and stuff, spraying, burning. Not a lot of money on burning, but coming back, respraying, or maybe replanting like some kind of grass out there that they can thrive in. And not just that, but the aspect of like spending so much time doing those smaller plots, you know.
More fuel, more wear on your equipment.
Yeah, more fuel, more wear on your equipment.
More hours
you're out there, you know, because you can go out and plant a 5-acre field really quick. If you ain't got to do nothing, just run in rows back and forth, you know, you got to go out and plant a 5-acre field like we did last year where you got growing the wall around 50 feet of it, and then you're going to come back and dodge that and not till
it's like an obstacle course.
Yeah.
You're constantly putting the tractor, you know, you're not spinning the tractor around and turning back around and going right back down. You run over in there, you just planted this, so you stop. You got to back up and get out of it, turn the tractor around, and then take back off. So you got to be careful. You know, it just takes a little more time, a little more effort.
Is there one of them that's easier over the others? Would you say deer is probably the easiest?
Is probably the easiest thing to manage your forest for. I mean, pretty much you're just letting it grow up.
Well, even when it comes to deer management, I remember he asked us, do y'all want to see deer or do you want to manage it for trophy deer?
Yeah.
Like, do you want to know that when you're going to go and hunt multiple stands, you're probably going to see a ton of doe every time you go? And that was kind of ours. We realized we're probably not going to be a big buck, trophy buck every year type place. It's just, we don't have enough land. I mean, I don't know if we don't have enough land.
Pretty good at it in the past couple
of
years.
But we've had, I think, my thinking was, I just want to be able to see deer. When I bring my son hunting, or if I bring somebody hunting with me, I want us to have a good time. I want us to see deer from stands. So that was kind of the approach we took. But at the same time, we didn't just shoot every buck we saw either. So I think that attributes to growing those big bucks. But why do you think like the habitat management would be different on, seeing a bunch of deer versus just trying to kill a trophy animal? What are you going to do different?
Kind of what, like y'all were talking about with that food plot, you're leaving a lot more standing. I think you're leaving a lot more standing cover. You're making him a safe home in there, but you're also not doing, your trophy bucks. We're planting summertime food plots because we're trying to grow trophy bucks.
Yeah.
I think
if we didn't give a crap about it and we just want to see deer, don't plant that. It's a waste of money if you just want to go out there and shoot deer and see deer.
That's a good point. Is like your summer plots are not there for you to see the deer. It's there for you to grow the deer.
And, nutrition.
Yeah. Of course, we get out here in the summertime, spend the weekend, and we're going to see deer. But if you're just trying to see deer, you can plant them from September on and not worry about it. You're not adding any nutrition or any protein or nothing to that animal for those other months. And we are. And I think we have a pretty good balance right now. I don't think we're where we need to be. I think we still got a good ways to go, but I think if you just look over the past 2 or 3 years and where this property started versus now, you think like that deer last year that was killed across the street, that's a once in a lifetime deer. Not saying we grew that deer, but that property over there is doing pretty much a similar thing we are. Is they're trying to manage the property and let the property take care of the animal. Mm-hmm. And you wouldn't have got that 170-inch deer on a wintertime plot only property. I'm sorry, you just wouldn't, unless it was just chasing doe and run across your property. But
not down here.
Not down
as far
here.
As holding him.
Yeah. It's definitely some benefit. You look at everything. You look at the rabbits we see here. 3 or 4 years ago, you didn't see rabbits down here. Heck, we rabbit hunted and didn't jump a
thought y'all killed them out.
No, we didn't kill a rabbit one.
And now you go down here and, it hasn't been a time we've rode in or out in the morning, evening.
They're everywhere.
You see 10 or 12 of them every day. So, it's not, I guess that's a good way to put it. You manage the property and let the property manage the animal. You take care of the property will do the rest.
And you have to, we've intervened with the wildlife a little bit, with Mark trapping coons. We've done a little trapping, all of us killing coyotes and bobcats and different things, predators that we see. We're not trying to decimate them, but we're trying to keep them in check. We're managing them as much as we are the animals we're chasing, because you do need predators. You just do. You don't need to decimate every predator on your property. I don't think so.
Well, we don't want the rabbits and the rats getting out of hand.
Right. If we're not going to hunt, y'all know. We go out there and bush hog, and when we burn and stuff, there are field rats everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a good thing. But those are easy prey for the fox, for the coyotes, for all them. They can catch those. I don't want to decimate those because I don't want them things up here in the cabin in the house.
Yeah.
They keep them in check. So there's a balance there. You don't want to disrupt a good balance of wildlife. I don't think so.
I wish we could figure out what we're doing to grow all these turtles. Holy smokes. I guarantee you we got more turtles per acre than anybody else.
They're everywhere.
I don't know how you...
I don't know what
you do.
Control the turtle populations. Something's doing a good job, is we just keep finding shells.
Yeah. They're moving to the bigger shell. What do you think
kills them naturally? Yeah, they're molting.
Yeah, they're molting to a bigger shell, just like a crab.
Something's killing them. I don't know what it is. They're not,
22.
No, I don't think so. Most of the time we find them, they're off in the woods and stuff. They're not around the ponds.
I don't know.
They're still water turtles, but I think they're just going to nest and something kills them or something.
It's, we've had, several people over the past few years come in and stay the weekend and hunt, or come down here and hang out, and we take them and show them the property, and I've never had a single person come down here and say, well, this don't look like y'all are doing a good job. Yeah. Everybody's like, man, this is crazy y'all are doing this with the acres y'all have. And it's a lot of work. I mean, Mikey's put a lot of work. Jamie has. I'm not the pro at it, but I'll do whatever I'm told. But it's been a lot of hours put in these acres, and we ain't done. We're just getting started.
It's definitely ongoing every year. Well, we just recently did a project where, Jamie, you'd bought it's not a mulcher. What's
brush cut? Yeah,
brush
cutter for skid steer.
This is a good time of year to think about that too. When you got to do maintenance or you got areas you want to cut in. We just happened to have a new piece of property where we needed a road.
Yeah, clean the road up and then done a little, I guess like a kudzu thing. We cut it out and got all that out of the way. It's pretty much almost set up for food plot now.
So Jamie done something. He bought the brush cutter and then you bought a root rake with a grapple. So it's like a grapple bucket with a root rake. And you took it and run it through that kudzu.
Kudzu, it's my first time running it. Was down here on the grapple part, and I cut that kudzu out, let the rake down, and it pretty much pulled up.
You could have run the cedar in it right then.
Yeah, it looks really, really good.
That's going to be a good spot for a little food plot. We need to get something over there just so weeds don't take it over. Just throw some kind of seeds down for the summer because it's looking really good. And I was out there Friday when I was riding around trying to strike a turkey. I just got out and walked around, man. There are deer tracks wherever you pulled, all that kudzu out and took it to dirt. The deer just been having a party in there.
Yeah, because that's probably it might be 8 acre or something. Not real. Might even be not very big at all, but it's big enough to do a micro plot,
a bow plot. That's what I was thinking, man. You talk about put a little climbing or ladder stand over there and put a blind on that ridge and put a bow plot over there. Guarantee you smoke one.
Yeah, we probably get a stand up on the side of that hill where you can come in like up there where the main road stops at. You hit that bottom and just kind of walk up on the ridge and sit there and you can see the food plot, but you can still see the bottom.
That's right.
It's a good plug right there, Jamie. Anybody in North Mississippi needs some.
I need to put that brush cutter to work.
Anybody's looking for somebody to get some roads or cleaned up around your hunting property or any kind of property. You willing, ain't you?
Yeah, I'll put me and Dakota will get it knocked out and taken care of for sure.
I can hit Jamie up on email on that.
It's a lot of tools out there available, and I think that's a big difference in now versus say 20 years ago. You had guys that want to manage land 20 and 30 years ago, but look at the equipment and the tools and the technology that's available for us now versus 20 years ago.
The only thing we knew about was going in right after Labor Day,
planting
some,
and you were planting
weeds,
a mix that was just probably
clover.
just wheat.
Yeah, it was
ryegrass.
Ryegrass was in it, and that was it. And you planted your deer plot, and you hoped it came up, hope you hit the rain right, and then you had some place to hunt in the winter, and that was all we thought about it.
Yeah.
Didn't even go back to camp or anything for the summer. I mean, you might have a couple work days where you got to go build a bridge or something like that, but there was I didn't know anybody that was doing like year-round summer plots, and, you might have got lucky and had a little clover that lasted, but you didn't really take care of it the way you should.
That club we was in, which is mostly a dog club back years ago, it was, I think we had probably 3,000, 4,000 acres.
It's pretty good size.
But that's all we did was just good old wheat and ryegrass and throw it out behind a 4-wheeler, and you didn't go back till, deer season pretty much.
Might plant some landings if it was some paper land or something like that.
And it made perfect sense, and it was right in front of us because if you look, when I was growing up, when I was a kid, we got to hunt a lot of property right there near our house, and there was always deer on it. But all the property that we considered a good honey hole was where they had crops year round.
Yeah,
and that's the reason they were whole deers because they had food there, but we didn't look at it as a food plot. It was just bean fields and corn fields, but that always had the best hunting, And that's kind of what we're trying to do here. Is just we're going about it a different way, but just trying to give them something to eat year round.
Yeah, you don't have. Depending on the size of your property and what it is, you don't have to put as much effort as we do into this one. You consider this a small piece of property. We got 180 acres, 220 now on this one, and then 160 something on the other one. Those are not big pieces of property. So, we go to the max. We go to the max when it comes to, because we're trying to hold deer on those places, and maybe we are wasting a little money here and there. It's not beneficial to us. We don't have to do that, but we're trying to maximize what we have, and to me, that's managing your property, is maximizing the property you have and, trying to hold animals or trying to, see the animals that you want to see and doing the best thing you can do for them throughout the year. If we had 1,000 acres of row crop, land, completely 300 different of it was row crops, we wouldn't have to do near as much because it's already there. You know what I mean? Like Mark was saying, you already got 300 acres of corn out there. Is I mean, you might plant a few little food plots here.
You're not going to beat 300 acres corn.
Like I said, like pretty much around here, all we got is pasture land, and I don't guess there's no crop really even halfway close to us. Really,
not really. I mean, the closest thing is over in that big bottom on number 4, and that that old farmer right down the street down here, he passed away, but they were the only ones that were really planting anything anywhere close to us. So what we're doing. It's working for this area, which is mostly, like you said, cattle land and stuff like that. It's cow pastures and no row crops anywhere. So
we're kind of a diamond in the rough.
That's something I guess you got to consider if you're looking at land. Look at what's around and realize that if there's nothing there, that you're gonna have to put forth that effort to replace that.
Your first couple of years, you're gonna be pretty upset with the food plots because you come in like we did down here and start planting food plots and they get
old
decimated.
Sagegrass fields.
Man. It's tough,
We've proved a lot of things, in my opinion. We made a lot of point to it, and we've always thought that, and that small acreage don't work, and it's not ideal, but you can make it work.
Yeah,
it just takes a lot of effort,
especially if your neighbors are on a similar program,
right?
I mean, if you didn't want to plant corn and beans and stuff like that, I mean that mix that we've got out there right now. It's wheat, it's oats, it's red clover. You could put white in it if you wanted to, and it's just something that we mix up ourselves. I put daikon radishes in it too, and that really just to promote the soil health. They do eat them. And then we kind of separate our turnips out, but you could let that go. That'll run till fall.
Yeah,
if we just left it alone.
That's something you got to pay attention to. That these bulk bags at big box stores, you ain't getting nothing. Look at your ratios on the back, what you're getting in there. If it says 80% ryegrass, I'd probably step away from that one, look at something different. But
yeah, the ryegrass, I mean, down here when we first got here, you probably could have planted ryegrass and they'd eat it because they just didn't have nothing else. But,
I mean, it looks good. Yeah. A green ryegrass does look good, but it's not.
They eat it. It's just not nutritional. Yeah.
But the wheat and the oats, the red clover that we're planting, we put a little bit of daikon radish in with ours. We could let that run. That would go all the way up to August and still be thriving, and then you can cut that down and replant it. Or if it seeds out like that wheat and oat seeds out, you pretty much could just bush hog it down.
And just take a chance on it coming back up.
It should reseed.
Something's going to come up.
Yeah, something will come back up. It'll reseed itself. If you were looking for a cheaper option and just you're rotating that same crop in. Now the red clover, it probably would pop back up, but it'll probably get long and legged trying to compete with the wheat and the oats, and it probably is not going. I don't know if it'll probably die off about summertime.
So I seen something else talking about the clover, and I meant to ask this earlier. Do you think you can train your clover to be short?
Yeah.
So I was watching a thing the other day. The guy, we try to mow a couple times a year. This guy mowed, I think he said every 2 weeks. Now it was close to his house. It was easy to get in and out of. It wasn't a big 20-acre patch. It was maybe a half an acre, and he was mowing it with his zero turn. And he mowed it about every time a white flower showed up, he'd mow it. And he showed within 2 years, it went from like a 30 by 30 square patch to almost a half acre, pretty quick. And that was his theory, just like Bermuda grass, make it grow out instead of up. And he's been doing it for, 2 or 3 years now. And I was like, man, that's, that is interesting if it's something you can manage like that. But
you definitely want the short leafy clover as opposed to that long stem. I mean,
but at what point? So I don't think we could do it. I think it has to be kind of in a cooler climate.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
I don't think you'd want to do that in August here.
No,
because it'd be gone.
Yeah. If you mow it down,
on ours like that.
It's going to burn it up.
Well, our full sun clover has been struggling the past few years anyway, because of just the drought condition, and it burns it up.
Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily mean it's dead and gone, as we thought it was. And here it is right now.
We've killed the heck out of some clover, and it still comes on back.
It has such a vast network underground of the root system that clover, it can spread, it can run, and it can pop back up when it's time, when the conditions are right. And I guess it just lays dormant.
Yeah.
Or just grows under the ground until it can pop.
But if you were keeping that cut down real low like that, and here in Mississippi, once we hit the end of June, I mean, we crest over, some days get up over 100 degrees. If it's short like that, it ain't gonna survive.
Yeah, it's not shading itself.
It's not shading
so
the
the bigger stuff, it may kill it. It may die a little bit, but the smaller,
stuff
younger clover
the...
up under it that the deer and all the turkeys are after, it kind of protects it. So,
you don't mind some of that height?
I don't mind some of that height on ours just because of that. Because I know it gets hot. I mean, if we had height on ours, at the end of the, right there around the summertime, I'm not messing with it. I don't want to cut it again because you mess around and cut it down too low and it will burn up then. It's gone.
That's that 4th of July. You're not cutting it anymore.
No, I'm not touching it.
But I guess it's weird how it's mixed result because you're saying that, and I watched a guy the other day, and I don't remember if it was I can't remember if it was Mississippi State or who it was on podcast. And he was saying, he said he don't cut clover. He lets it go, and he said if he cuts it, it's just one time a year. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, see, I guess when I had all the dirt work done at my house, they threw some clover out in the mix where they graded it, and I didn't know it. I ain't planted it. It's all down my driveway, and I mow it with my mower every week, 2 weeks. And now, granted, I hadn't seen it do anything in August, but right now, man, that stuff is
That's a different. I guess you're looking at it different, but it's going to burn up and be gone.
We'll see.
In May, probably.
Because this is the best year I've seen it, and it's spreading pretty good, and I've been mowing it, but again, who knows what it's going to do in August.
Yeah.
Bermuda probably going to take over and wipe it out, and it'll be back next spring.
I think if you were up north with a milder climate, where your summers weren't so blistering hot like ours, I mean, we get hot summers down here, y'all. It's
hot and dry both.
Yeah. I mean, last year it was like a desert down here. I mean, I was surprised when we lost trees. We lost a lot of stuff, just because of that drought. But we've had it 2 years in a row, really. Because the year before that we had a pretty bad drought too. It came through. So we lost the clover, almost 2 years in a row. Last year we really lost it fast. But if you were up north or something like that, you probably could. Well, their rain is a little, more abundant up there, and the temperatures are milder, and you probably could do like what Mark's talking about and keep it kind of cut down low. But
they probably get it earlier frost than we do.
Yeah, shoot, in September they're probably seeing frost up north.
But then the clover will thrive. Once we get a frost, our clover does great. Yeah. Once we start getting those cooler temps.
I mean, we go into deer season on 80-degree days.
Yeah,
it'd be November here, and we're still fighting 80-degree days.
I'd say Millennium has air conditions for some blinds.
Yeah. So we got one more week of turkey season.
One more week of turkey season.
This time, the next podcast, it will be officially over. It'll be the last day.
Yep.
I'm tempted to go to Indiana.
In Mississippi. I was going to say, have you found us some more states to hunt turkeys in?
So I'm going to Indiana. It'll be the last week it's open in Indiana. We got to go up there for a contest in Michigan, and I'm taking my shotgun. That's for sure. And we're going to go up there, and if it works out, we may be a little late getting home Sunday night, but we may try to have to go come Sunday morning. So we'll see. What's on the books? So we get turkey season behind us.
Time to start working.
It's going to be all this we've been talking about.
All this we've been talking about.
Planting and we need some new access. We need a new bridge. We can't wait till August to build a bridge.
Mikey's hell on his bridges in freaking August.
Mikey can't find nowhere to build a bridge over it yet.
We'll have to do some.
We got to figure something out. I think I got an idea what we might could do. Where me and you crossed, that's the flattest spot I found.
It's flat on both sides when you come out.
And it's not too bad. I think we could open it up in there pretty easy, I think. I don't know that you could. We wouldn't worry about taking the tractor in that way anyway, but it'd be perfect for side by side.
That's all we need. We need it 8 foot wide. We can make an 8 foot wide crossing. We'll be all right.
We can do it.
But we had a winner. Who was the winner?
Let me see.
Eubank. What was the first name? Daniel? Neil Eubank. Was that what it was, Mikey?
Yeah.
Well, you got to tell us about the recipe, because this is probably one we're going to have to recreate, and we're going to send Neil some swag. Mikey's going to tell you all about that once he pulls it up.
I'm sending him a $100 gift card.
$100 gift card?
Yeah.
To
Mossy Oak Gamekeepers Butcher.
That's right. Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah,
go ahead and get
Neil Eubank.
Go ahead and get you those bison ribeyes.
They're hard to beat. Man, they're good.
If I had $100 gift certificate, that's exactly what I'd order. As many as I could get.
I don't know. Them elk chops pretty dang good too.
They are. They're both good.
Yeah. I mean, like I say that wild game contest, all that stuff we cooked. I mean, I didn't eat nothing bad.
Man, y'all check out the recipe on TikTok right now. Jamie's old
quesadillas.
And my hairy arm, man, it was good.
If you're watching the video, you can see, you can look. Everybody tells me and Mark different because I got gray in my beard. If you don't see the face, you look at Mark's hairy arms. You tell who it is.
Start mowing them, I guess. Cutting them like Clover.
Yeah, so Neil turned in a smoked venison meatloaf.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, so it's 34 pounds of ground venison, 2 eggs, 1 medium onion, 1 bell pepper, salt and pepper, garlic, Cajun seasoning, garlic jalapeno rub. He's got homemade barbecue sauce that he puts on his, or he said Killer Hog's barbecue sauce. Crushed up pork rinds, about 1 to 2 cups. And
talk about pork rinds, that does sound good in there.
There's your fat.
Yeah, I guess he's using that at his.
That's probably like breadcrumbs. Yeah, but you don't get the carbs because pork rinds is keto.
We're gonna have to take that one.
That's what he said. I used the pork rinds to make it gluten free.
There you go.
I got some.
We got to try that
fat in the refrigerator. We could mix in with.
How many pounds of venison did he use?
3 to 4.
3 to 4. That's a pretty good meatloaf.
Yeah. But I'm sure it gets cooked on. It gets put on a smoker at 375 until it gets to 155,
and then glaze it.
And glaze it.
And then see, are y'all a brown gravy meatloaf, or are y'all like the tomato? See, I've always been ketchup based. Well, like a barbecue sauce, or
I'm different than all y'all. I say different. I am. My wife, her mom always did. My mom always done
ketchup.
Just straight ketchup, or she mix it with barbecue sauce?
She'd either do ketchup or she'd do chili sauce.
Like chili sauce.
Chili
sauce. What Jeanette's mama uses.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, Melissa makes one where she does like a Heinz 57 ketchup, and I think it's a little bit of barbecue sauce and puts on it. But I still like brown gravy on that. It on the side when I make the potato.
I've never had meatloaf with brown gravy.
Really?
And then
cafeteria meatloaf always had brown gravy.
Yeah, I only had it like a country cooking restaurant. I mean, as far as me at home, I'm doing ketchup or the chili
I'm doing mashed taters, brown gravy, and then meatloaf with the red sauce. It could be barbecue sauce, ketchup, what's chili sauce, or a combination of.
We need to have a meatloaf, we need to just roll out about 4 meatloaf recipes. Everybody do our own take on meatloaf.
You know how we've been doing them? There's like individual meatloafs. Everybody gets their own little, looks like a little football, a little hand-sized football.
I like the old middle slice, though.
Really?
Little ones, you don't get no middle slice, really.
Yeah. So you like, though, traditional in a loaf pan or whatever.
Yeah, but I like
them
mine on
the edges.
Yeah, I like mine on the end.
That's what I
got some old seared up ketchup.
Yeah, that's why I like just hand forming them, like in the little. It's almost like a little mini foot. Remember them little mini footballs you get about that size? So you get an edge all the way around it, and the slices in the middle are pretty thick.
I got it. Take your meatloaf recipe, pat it out like a burger.
Meatloaf burger?
Grill it with some onions, on some sourdough bread, and a little bit of ketchup.
I like a meatloaf sandwich now.
We used to eat the crap out of meatloaf sandwich.
Heck yeah, I always hoped. That's why I wanted my mama to make a big one so there'd be leftovers. That's the only bad thing about making a little individual is you just make enough for dinner and there ain't no leftovers.
Meatloaf's always good next day, too.
It gets better. It's one of the foods that gets better on the
Man, I ain't cooked meatloaf in a while. I'm going to knock that out this week.
Yep. There you go.
I know it's about lunchtime. I'm hungry now.
Well, what else we got? Is that going to wrap us up for today? Well,
that's going to wrap us up for today. We are going to run some more contests. So check it out on our Facebook page. We'll post another contest probably in the next week or two. We'll come up with some ideas on that. Maybe your turkey or your fish or some kind of picture or something like that. Some kind of wild game picture, whatever.
We need to do a recipe for fish, our contest. Give me your best fish dish that ain't fried. Give me something different. Yeah.
There you go.
Something
be grilled, blackened.
Like a Cajun style. I mean,
I want you to do those the oysters, Rockefeller smoked oysters in the can. That lady was doing.
Look, let's let this bologna recipe come out and see how it goes, and then we'll jump to that.
Mm-hmm. You're gonna take it to another level with that. You might could do those on the buddy heater.
I did see a guy doing
get that can of smoked oysters on that buddy heater and get it bubbly and then put that cheese over.
If you was to do that to deer stand, old possum be knocking on the door.
Y'all be that's your coon and possum bait there.
Yeah, there's one for you, Mikey. You can do a sardine Rockefeller.
Sardine Rockefeller.
I'm gonna leave that with. I'm gonna be out that day.
How do you think that would be?
Fishy.
All he did was open up that oysters and put a couple pats of butter on it and a bunch of garlic and some hot sauce. And
I do like sardines better than I do them canned oysters.
Yeah.
I
like canned oysters.
I ain't doing either one of them.
We all keep, check us out on the community there. The Buck Junkies
Outdoor Club.
Buck Junkies Outdoor Club. That's where we post our stuff too. We've got the Facebook page and all the other socials. And
hopefully you will see me holding a big old turkey come next week.
We got
a few more days. We're going to try.
7 more mornings is all you got. So if you don't get after them,
if he's across that ditch next week, don't mind your business.
All right. Well, we will be back next week to talk more Buck Junkies. And
hey, don't forget, Hope Outdoors Team Scooter Northwest Mississippi chapter. We're having a banquet next week. Be the May 4th. It's at the Red Barn here in Hernando.
Week after next.
Week after next. Yeah, May 4th. So get out there.
Where's the Red Barn out there off Commerce?
It's
304 and 5.
Yeah, 304 and 5 right there on the corner. And Red Barn kind of pretty much describes it.
All right. Well, we will see y'all next week. We gone.